So I found probably the most epic TBR that I could have filmed. And I looked better than I feel like I even have potential for. And it was all silent. It was all silent. Yep. I did it. I did my big one. And I didn't realize until I spent an hour uploading it to edit it, because my camera was taking like forever to upload it because it was having some issues. And it wasn't until I then went back to re-download it that I filmed the whole thing in silence. So anyway, here we go again. A little less effort, but hopefully I will be able to get some of those killer reads that I picked back on my TBR. That's the goal anyway. So today we are going to be picking my TBR using a color generator. If you don't know who I am, my name is Angie and welcome to my little corner of the internet. So the biggest thing to highlight here is I'm looking for straight vibes. I have been having a very rocky month, mentally, physically, everything. And so if I'm not interested in the book, I'm not going to be reading it. Like, I'm just going to tell you straight. So the goal is to use this to pick my TBR, but if I don't think I'm going to read it, it's not going on the TBR. And we can just pick something else. I was really successful at doing this yesterday. We can hope for the best today. I know it's already late in the month. It's fine. It's fine. We're all fine. In the month of July, I completed 0 books. That is the lowest reading month that I have had in years. At minimum, I feel like at minimum, at the end of the month, I freak out and then I read a whole bunch if I feel like I'm not reading, and I didn't even do that. So anyway, we're going to be using a website called Coolors, Coolors, and it will generate like a palette. So I'll show you. So it will generate like this cute little color palette, and then we're going to try and pick a book based on the color palette that it does generate. And I will try to get as close to that as possible, but if I'm not able to, then I will pick something that has a similar color or a similar color scheme. So without further ado, let's get into this video. Okay, so we are going to be generating our first colors. All right, so we got a bunch of colors, but a bunch of lighter colors. So let's see what we could find that could potentially go with this. Okay, so I have 3 books that I feel like kind of fit the color scheme. So the first one I have is Jackpot Summer. As you can see, there's some yellow, blue primarily. There's a little bit of green. The guy's shirt is orange. So we have Jackpot Summer. And this would be like the last month that I feel like I could read it this year, because August to me is like the end of summer. So then we have The Missing Half, which has more of the blue, and then The Missing Half, the title is like a yellowish orange. So that kind of fits the color scheme. It's really hard on my camera to see what's going on here. Lastly, we have Cellophane by Marie Arana. This has that green, the orange. So I actually got this one at Goodwill a long time ago, and I've been wanting to pick it up, but I also don't want to pick it up. So I'm probably not going to choose this one knowing I'm kind of in a reading slump, but pretty much it follows a guy whose dream is to like open a paper factory, and then like his past catches up to him, and that's kind of where the synopsis leaves off, which is why it makes it so hard for me to want to pick this up, because it's just like so vague. But this one is really interesting to me. So we follow a girl whose sister vanished, and there was another girl who vanished 2 weeks before her sister, but there wasn't enough evidence to go by, so the case ended up going cold. Here we are years later, the girl's kind of in a dead-end job, the sister, and the sister of the other girl approaches her and is like, hey, I might have some ideas to solve our sister's kidnappings. want to hang out, and it just kind of like renews her hope. And this one's a signed copy, so I thought that was really cool. And then lastly, I have Jackpot Summer by Alyssa Friedland. I've been meaning to read this for like a year or 2 years at this point, but pretty much it's about this dad who gives his kids like his home because he wants to go to like a retirement village or something like that. So he has 5 kids, and as the kids are all there packing up his stuff to help him move, one of them sees a sign for the Powerball and was like, hey, you guys want to go halvesies? And so 4 of them take him up on this offer, and one of them was like, no, no thanks. And one of those tickets ended up being the winner. So now 4 of the siblings are overnight millionaires and one has nothing. To me, this one sounds the most interesting. So I do think I'm going to go with Jackpot Summer. Like I said, I feel like August is the last month that I could even read it this year. So I think it's better to take that leap now than wait until next year. So I'm going to go with Jackpot Summer by Alyssa Friedland as my first choice. All right, now to generate our second set of colors. Oh wow, that is definitely some different hues. So we got red, black, gray, white, yellow. Let's see what we can find. I see like a lot of red books jumping out to me, but then the other colors are really different. So I see Cash. This one has like that red, yellow, but I just don't feel like it has enough colors to really go with this. So for the yellow, the white, the gray, the black, the red, I have Endless Anger by Sav R. Miller. I have Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. And I have Huntsman by Naima Simone. I'm so sorry, I know that I probably mispronounced that. But let us discuss. They're all a little bit, I guess, on the darker side. This one maybe really isn't, but it's just about a guy who is angry. It says he is angry at the world, at himself, and now his best friend turned obsession, Lucy, seems to be determined to ignore the searing heat between them. And it takes place in a university. This one sounds so fun, so good. Then we have Phantasma, which you see everybody talk about, but nobody really talks about what it's about. And I don't know why, but pretty much from the synopsis, Phantasma states that we follow a girl who has a debt to pay off, and she's doing everything in her power to pay off this debt, while her sister's like, let me be the savior here, and I'm going to enter this game called Phantasma. But the problem is, if you win, you get your wish, but if you lose, you die. And she's like, I cannot let my sister die, so she decides, hey, I'm gonna enter this too. And yeah, because her wish is gonna be to save her sister's life. So, very interesting. I think it is a romantasy, so that's very fun. And then the last one I have here is a dark romance, and that is called The Huntsman, and it is a mafia romance. And I will just read the back to you because it's a little bit hard for me to explain, but it says, 9 years ago, my aunt took everything from me, my world, my throne, my mother. I've bided my time since then, serving under her in the crime family, but she's crossed another line. She put a price on my head, sending the legendary assassin, the Huntsman, Malachi Bowden, after me. The Huntsman's never failed a contract before, but I know everything there is to know about him. It's finally time for me to take my revenge and finish the war that my aunt started. The Huntsman might be my death, but Malachi Bowden, he's my weakness. Welcome to the Hunted Kingdom. They all sound literally so spectacular. Like, honestly, like, if I actually end up reading really good this month, that's my goal. Like, I really want to get back into reading. I miss reading. I would pick up all 3. Like, that's how good they all sound to me. Jeez, I don't know. I do think I'm actually going to go with The Huntsman just because it does seem on the shorter side. I might be able to read this more easily, but honestly, like, all 3 sound so top tier, and honestly, that's probably because they're all on my shelf and I bought them all. But there are books that I would probably never touch that are on my shelves too. And that is the problem with being a reader since a child and still having books that you bought at age 12. So, anyway, the second book on my TBR is Huntsman by Naomi Simone. Okay, on to choice number 3. Let's go ahead and generate. Oh wow, those are some light colors. I'm trying to get it to focus. I probably should have took a screenshot and like uploaded it, but it's too late now. Oh well. Anyway, so we have like a light brown, cream, a very light orange, like an aqua, and like a light blue. So let me see what I can find that could possibly match this. I might just have to like pick one of the colors because I really feel like there might not be anything that can match this. Okay, this is probably going to be such an off-the-wall choice, but this was on the TBR that I picked yesterday, and I really, really want to read it, so hear me out. Here we go. Anyway, so here's the hear me out, right? So there is brown sand. There is like a creamish orange right here. There's blue water. I don't know. I can see it. There is, if there was other things on my shelf that could go with this, I would choose it. But there's really not. I wish it would focus. Okay, you can kind of see the colors now. I don't know. I can see it. So essentially, in The American Mermaid, we follow a broke English teacher named Penelope Shillman, and she's as surprised as anybody to know that her debut novel has just taken off. And her debut novel is about a mermaid who is like this superpower feminist mermaid. And it says she quits teaching and she moves to Los Angeles to turn this novel into an action flick with the help of some studio hacks. But as she's pressured to change her main character from a fierce eco-warrior into a teen sex object in a clamshell brawl, strange things start to happen. Threats appear in the screenplay, Simon calls her Penelope's co-writers into danger. Is Penelope losing her mind, or has her mermaid came to life, enacting revenge for Hollywood's violations? Does that not sound incredible? And here's the crazy thing. What I was saying in my video yesterday when I recorded this is that this has been on my shelf for years. I got this like through a giveaway on Goodreads one time, and I was like, mermaid book, not reading that. No thank you. I picked this yesterday because of this color challenge. It really went with the colors a lot better yesterday. Anyway, and I read the synopsis and I was like, wait a second. What do you mean it's been sitting on my shelf this whole time? Did I never read the synopsis? It sounds so freaking good. I am literally beyond excited to pick this book up. Like, this might be the book that if I'm going to start reading, I'm going to read this one. So I'm just really hoping that it doesn't let me down. But that also just goes to show you that you should pick up books that you just don't expect to like, or books that you've had sitting around for a long time and you've forgotten what they're about and it just doesn't entice you, and you should read the synopsis and just find out what it's about. But maybe you guys don't have that problem where you have hundreds and hundreds of books because you've been collecting your whole life and then you ain't read none of them. Maybe it's just me. I was a collector long before I was a reader. No, I'm just kidding. I used to like buy books like crazy and then I couldn't keep up with like reading it. You know, when I got like that fresh new adult money before I had bills and debt and things. That's what happened. And now I'm trying to catch up and I've barely been buying books, but yeah. So anyway, number 3 on my TBR, American Mermaid by Julia Langbing. Okay, now to generate for number 4. I think we're gonna do 5 choices total, so this will be number 4. Okay, kind of a similar color scheme. Wait for it to load, trying to get it to focus so you guys can see the best colors. But we have like this burgundy, purplish hue, and then 2 green hues and 2 tannish, pinkish hues. So as a reminder, here's the colors. And then these are kind of not exact like I would like them to be, but it does have a lot of the colors. So this one has the purple, the greens, and then it has like a little bit of tan on this chain here, which I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can kind of see it. So there's this, which is Forget Me Not by Stacey Willingham. This is a thriller. Then we have Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. I absolutely love her books, but I feel like I really have to be in the mood for it. So obviously purple, and then on the actual book itself, there is a ton of tans, greens. So this really has a lot of the colors. This one is like a fantasy, magical realism. I don't know exactly the term. I think it's just fantasy. And then lastly, this one's a little bit more off, but it's called This Fatal Kiss, and this has more of those green hues and the tan hues. So in This Fatal Kiss, we follow a girl who is a water nymph trying to, I guess, not be one anymore, and it is like a polyamorous relationship type thing as well. I thought it was interesting and I picked it up because this cover to me is like the most beautiful thing I've ever saw in my whole life. And then Wild Reverence, if you don't know what Wild Reverence follows, it is essentially about the time, I think, after Divine Rivals took place. And I read both of those books and they both got 5 stars or 4.5. I think they were both 5 though. Like, I absolutely love them, but to me I have to be very ready to read it, and I just don't think I'm ready to read it. Especially the thickness of it and the slump that I've been in. Like, I want to give it the fairest chance that it possibly could ever have. And then lastly, Forget Me Not. It's a thriller. It's another Sister Goes Missing thriller. And if I'm going to be so honest, because I don't already have a thriller on my TBR, I kind of want to go with this one. But I would say out of all of the books that I've chose so far, this would be like the one that I would be least excited about. But I think it would still be good to put on my TBR. So let me tell you what it's about. 22 years ago, Claire Campbell's older sister Natalie disappeared after her 18th birthday. Days later, her blood was found in a car, a man was arrested, and the case swiftly closed. In the decades since, Claire has attempted to forget her traumatic past by moving to the city and climbing the ranks as an investigative journalist, until an unexpected call from her father forces her to come back home and face it all anew. With the entire summer now looming ahead, a summer spent with nothing to do in her childhood home and an estranged mother, Claire decides on a whim to accept a seasonal job at Galloway Farm, a vineyard in coastal South Carolina, less than an hour away from where she grew up. At first glance, Galloway is an idyllic escape for Claire, a scenic retreat full of slow-paced nostalgia, as well as a place where her sister truly seemed happy in the last summer before she vanished. It feels like the perfect place to pass the time. However, as soon as Claire starts to settle in, she stumbles across an old diary written by one of the vineyard owners, and at what first seems like a story of young rebellious and love turns into something much more sinister as it begins to describe details of various unsolved crimes. As the days stretch on, Claire finds herself becoming more and more secluded as she starts to obsess over the diary's contents, as well as the lingering feeling that her own sister's disappearance may somehow be tied to it all. Galloway was supposed to be a place to help her move forward, but instead, Claire quickly finds herself immersed in the dark and dangerous past. So now that I've read the full synopsis, I'm very excited. I'm so excited. Yeah. Okay, anyway. Craziest, funnest TBR ever? Yes, please. I'm so excited. So we have one more book to choose. Okay, we can do this. Last time, here we go. Oh, wow. Okay, definitely some different colors here. Try to get it to focus. Look at those gorgeous colors. Let's see if we can find anything. So, as a reminder, we have like deep blues, green, gold, cream, purple, and what I have to offer here is a new release. The Winged Games. It's only missing green, but it has everything else. It has the blues, the purples, the gold, the creams, and then we have Thrown in the Dark, which I've heard everybody rave about, and I'm really interested. Again, we are just missing the green here. I guess I feel like if they put green in it, they're afraid that they will create Barney or something. I don't know. But then we do have one that has all of the colors except for gold, and that is Violet Thistlewhite is not a villain anymore. So in this book, we follow a girl who worked for the villain, and he ends up dead. So now she's trying to reinvent her life, and I guess it's like a cozy fantasy. And then in Thrown in the Dark, we end up with a guy whose only weakness is the girl, of course, and he somehow ends up dragging her through realms. Both of those books give me Assistant to the Villain vibes, and Assistant to the Villain is a 5-star book to me. I need to read the rest of the series, but I also feel like you just have to be in the mood for those. But they sound so freaking good. And lastly, we have The Winged Games, and it takes place in Canada or something. And the only thing different is they have winged beasts that they ride on, and I guess it's like inspired by Harry Potter or something. I don't know. I've never read Harry Potter. Don't hate me, I haven't. I've read the Harry Potter fan fictions, but I've never read the actual Harry Potter. And I feel like it's too late in life to read Harry Potter because then it just wouldn't make sense to me. Regardless, it sounds really good. So it's like a sport that they play on the back of these winged beasts, and two rivals end up having to work together, and it's a romantasy. But if I'm so honest, this one's so thick and I'm not ready yet. If I was going to read either one of them, it would probably be these two, and I feel like Violet Thistlewhite is not a villain anymore. Ooh, this one really gives Assistant to the Villain vibes, and I really love Assistant to the Villain, but this one has a different interesting concept. Like, she just doesn't want to be the villain anymore. No. You know what? I'm going Thrown in the Dark. That is just a random jab. I would pick either of them. But they all, I mean, they both sound really, really good. I'm gonna go Thrown in the Dark. So it says, oh my god, I just opened this. Is that not so stunning? That gives me like Beauty and the Beast vibes. Oh my god, that is so beautiful. Okay, anyway. His dark destiny awaits, and nothing will stand in his way except for her. Dark Lord, Demon Spawn, prophesized Realm Destroyer. With a demon for a father, Damien Malefic's Bloodthorn's destiny could be nothing but nefarious. And with the completion of his most vicious spell, Damien is on the cusp of fulfilling the evil inevitability of all of his dark machinations have led to, and then her. Bubbly, obnoxious, and blonde. Harboring secrets of her own, a tiny yet troublesome thief calling herself Emma completely upsets Damien's malevolent plans when she mistakenly gets chained to his side through magic, forcing him to drag her across the realm. Killing her would fix things, of course, but the nauseating sweet Emma proves herself useful on Damien's unholy crusade, and then proves herself the source of something even more sinister. Feelings. Will Damien be forced to abandon his villainous birthright to help the tender thorn in his side, or will he manage to overcome the virtue Amma insists on inspiring and instead cut it out at the heart? Oh, it sounds so cute. It sounds so fun. It sounds so assistant to the villain. Okay, just as a reminder, let's review the books that are on my August TBR. So the first book we have is Jackpot Summer by Alyssa Friedman. Then we have Huntsman by Namia Simone. American Mermaid by Julia Langbein. Forget Me Not by Stacey Willingham. And lastly, Thrown in the Dark by A.K. I don't even want to pronounce that. Just take a look. Anyway, my name is like the most basic name on the planet, so I cannot pronounce things for the life of me, but if anybody wants to tell me how to pronounce it, feel free. If you liked this video, please like, subscribe, comment, do everything that it says to do down here, because that would help my channel grow, and that's the only thing I look forward to right now. So, please, thank you. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching. Bye.